Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello, my name is Afi Octaviani. This time, I will be present a scientific paper entitled "The Effect of Inflation on Economic Growth in Indonesia." Introduction. According to Zikirno 2012, explain the economic growth is the development of activities the economic that cause good produce in society to increase. So, if economic growth is high, then will be goods that will be produced will also increase. This will increase the level of community welfare. According to Todaro 2003, explained that economic growth is a steady process in which the production capacity of an economic increase all the time to generate an increasing level of national. Inflation is an event that indicates a general and continuous increase in the price level. From this definition, there are three criteria that need to be observed to see the occurrence of inflation, namely price increase are common and occur continuously within a certain time span, and the event of the increase in the price of one item, which does not affect the price of another item, so it does not rise in general. Such an event is not inflation, unless the increase is like the price of fuel. This affects other price, so that in general all products almost experience a price increase if the price increase occurs a moment later down again. It cannot be said inflation because the price increase take into account in the context of inflation has a minimum period of months. Murni 2006. Economic growth and inflation in Indonesia. According to data from the Ministry of VAT or Bappenas, Indonesian economy grew 4.97% YoY in the fourth quarter of 2019, slower than the economic growth in the previous quarter of 5.02% YoY. Growth in the quarter was still driven in the high-growth service sector, although this contribution to GDP remained relatively small. Inflation for October 2019 to December 2019 tends to be low and controlled. This condition is driven by stable core inflation, and price inflation is regulated by the government amid rising volatile price inflation. In terms of spending groups, education, recreation, and sport group inflation decreased as a new school year ended in October 2019. Meanwhile, food group inflation increased mainly due to the increasing price of garlic salad and chicken eggs. Indonesia's economic growth in 2020 is not expected to reach the target set in line with the magnitude of the downside risk faced. Investments and household consumption are expected to be the main driver of growth. Investment performance is expected to improve with the passing of Omnibus Employment Law. Household consumption was driven by low inflation, the issue of pre-employment card, and increase in the allocation of national health insurance. Meanwhile, exports are expected to increase in line with the increase in the crude palm oil. or CBO export to India and the passage of several free trade agreements through 2020 to 2021. Research methodology, data and data search. The research method used is a causal research because it examines the relationship between variables to other variables. The data used in this study are secondary data obtained from the Ministry of Economic Affairs of VAT or Bappenas and BPS. In addition, the author also obtained data from internet research, reference books, and scientific journals and literature that are considered relevant to the purpose of this research. Variable operation. The operationalization of variable is a guide to how the variables in the study were measured, and facilitate the understanding of variables that will be analyzed in the study. It is necessary for formulated variable operationalization as follows. Economic growth, Y, is a process increase the production of goods and services in the economic activities of the community using data the percentage units. Inflation X is the case when price and general growth rate the continuously over a long period of time in the present units. Result and discussion. Simple linear regression task. Simple linear regression analysis is an analysis used to determine the influence between free variable and a bound variable. Based on the result of data processing with the help of Vue6 program, obtain the following regression result. Y equals 7.72178798194 to 0.888576988x, where Y economic growth, X inflation. From this equation, the results that can be explained are A. Constant value of 7.721788194 means that if the inflation rate is 1 then is 0 then the amount of economic growth is 7.72178798194 and B x equals negative 0.80888576988 means that if variable inflation is increased by 1%, the economic growth will decrease by 0.1888576988%. Negative sign indicate an indirect or contradictory relationship between inflation and economic growth, e.i. if inflation rises, then economic growth will decline. Confidence of determination. The confidence of determination is performed to see how much influence independent variables are able to explain dependent variable. The value of R2 ranges from 0 to 1, 0 less equals to R2 less more equals to 1. When R2 is getting closer to the number 1 means the variable variation model is said to be good. From the result of the data obtained, the amount of determination coefficient of 0.412361. This means that economic growth is simultaneously influenced by inflation of 41.24%, while 58.76% of the amount of economic growth is influenced by other variables that are not studied. The research hypothesis test t-tests or partial tests are used to determine the effect of free variables on partial or individually bound t-variables. From the test result obtained, variable predictability x is inflation of 0.0000. It can be said that Howe was rejected and has accepted because the probability value of x 0.0000 modulus a 0.05 means there is a significant influence between variable x in inflation to variable y economic growth. Conclusion: based on the research that has been done, it can be concluded that variable inflation has a significant and negative effect on economic growth in Indonesia. The high inflation rate will reduce economic growth in Indonesia. Suggestion: based on the result of the analysis and research, the suggestion that can be given by the author are as follows. 1. The government is expected to provide or issue policies that can control the inflation rate because high inflation rates have a negative influence on economic growth in Indonesia. 2. For further research, it is recommended to add other research variables that can affect economic growth so as to add insight about other variables that can affect economic growth. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.